Hello, my dear students. Today's topic is workbook exercises. During the last session, we talked about the passive. We had grammar and we talked about passive. Let's have a quick review at how this passive is formed and when we use it. So, we use the passive with be plus past participle of the main verb. Be careful, the verb to be should be in the same tense that is the verb in the active sentence. We use by plus agent to say who carries out the action, or with plus instrument or tools to say what the agent used to carry out the action. We have got an example here. He opens the door. The verb is opens. Have a look at it. What tense is the verb here? It is in the present simple. Do you remember what happens with the subject and object of the sentence in the active? The subject becomes the object in the passive, and the object of the active sentence becomes the subject in the passive sentence. And here it is the sentence. The door is opened by him. As we said, the verb is in the present simple, right? That's why we need the verb to be in the present simple. The past participle of the verb open is opened because the word open, the verb open, is a regular one. And the past participle of regular verbs is verb plus ed. Let's go on and have a look at some sentences. They are changed from active into passive. We are going to look at the verb and what has happened with the subject and the object. Simple, present or present simple. In the active, Rita writes a letter. A letter is written by Rita. So here it is the verb, writes in the present simple, and we have the verb to be is, and the past participle of the verb write, that is written. Have a look at the subject. It has become the agent in the passive sentence, and the object in the active sentence is transformed into the subject of the passive sentence. Let's go on. The past simple. Rita wrote a letter. A letter was written by Rita. So have a look at the verb. Wrote, was written. The verb to be was or were plus past participle of the verb write. We have got the same sentence in four different tenses. Rita has written a letter. The verb here is in present perfect, right? We have has or have plus past participle of the verb. How do we form the passive verb in the present perfect? It is has or have been plus past participle of the verb. So, a letter has been written by Rita. Be careful. If the subject is in plural, we use have been. The last one, Rita will write a letter. So, what tense is the verb here? It is in the future. How do we form the future in the passive? Of course, we use will be plus the past participle of the verb. And in this case, a letter will be written by Rita. Let's have some practice with the workbook exercises with the passive. The first one, put the verbs in brackets into the correct passive form. How did your exhibition go? Have a look at the example. Have a look at the question. What tense is it? What auxiliary verb is this did? What tense does it belong to? So it belongs to the past simple. So we need the verb in the passive in the past as well. Fantastic! It was attended by over 300 people. The next. Why can't you touch the display? As you can see, this sentence is in the present simple, so we are going to use the passive sentence in the present simple as well. What is the present simple of the verb to be? Is or are? Because it is housed in glass. The verb house here is a regular verb. That's why we just add the D because it ends in E. Why are you so stressed, Bill? This piece have to finish for the show next week. Be careful, we have got a model here. Do you remember how do we form the models in the passive? We just add be between the model and the verb. So, this piece has to be finished for the show next week. we have the modal has to, be, and then the past participle of the verb. I'll give you £10 for that bracelet. Are you joking? This make by hand. So this was made by hand because it was made in the past. When can we see his new paintings? They exhibit next month at the art gallery. Exhibit, show. The synonym is show. We have got here the time expression next month. What time expression is it? What tense does it belong to? It belongs to future, right? So we need future to form passive here. They will be exhibited next month at the art gallery. Have you heard the news? Yes, I heard a painting just still from the museum. We have got the time expression just here. Do you remember what tense does this time expression belong to? Right, it belongs to present perfect. So how do we form the present perfect in the passive? We use have or has been plus the past participle of the verb. So the correct form would be, yes, I heard painting. A painting has just been stolen from the museum. Let's go on with another exercise, by or with. We are going to complete the sentences with by or with. Do you remember when we explained the passive, we said that we use by plus an agent and with plus a tool or material. So we need to have a look at what words do we have at the end of the sentence. This cake was made my mom. So the agent is my mom, the person who carried out the action, and it is by my mom. The sauce was made cream. We've got a material or an ingredient here, so with ingredients we use with. The box was tied up string. So what is the correct word here? Of course it is with, because string is a material. It is what materials the agent used to carry out the action. Fireworks were set off some boys, so we have got an agent here in the plural. What do we use with an agent? We use by. It was delivered a courier. A courier is kind of postman, so it is an agent, so we use the word by. Let's have a look at another exercise. Rewrite the sentences into the passive form. We are going to change the sentences from active to passive. We should be very careful noticing and finding out the verb of the tense in active, because the verb to be depends from the tense of the verb in active. Then be careful. We are going to change the subject of the active verb into the object of the passive verb, and the object of the active verb into the subject of the passive verb. Pra kryefjala e fjalës aktive bëhet kundrinori ose agenti në fjalën pasive, dhe kundrinori në fjalën aktive bëhet kryefjala e fjalës pasive. Someone stole the statue from the town hall. The verb is stole and it is in the past simple. So the correct sentence would be, the statue was stolen from the town hall. As we can see here, the word someone is not included, it is omitted. This agent is omitted here because it is not important. We are more focused to the action here and not the person who did the action. Millions of tourists visit the museum every year. The time expression every year belongs to the present simple, right? So the word visit here, the verb visit, is in the present simple. So be careful with the verb to be. We have is or are in the present simple, plus the verb in the past participle. The museum is visited by many tourists every year. The mayor will open the new arts center. We have got the verb will open. What tense is it? It is in the future, right? So how will the passive be? The new arts center will be opened by the mayor. How have we formed the passive? Will be plus past participle of the verb. He has to sign a contract. What is the main verb here? It is sign, right? And we have got a modal, has to. Do you remember how we form modals in the passive? We use modal, be, and the past participle of the main verb. And the sentence would be, the contract has to be signed. We have omitted the subject because it is not important. When the subject is they, someone, or people, or even he, we can omit it in the passive sentence. They have sold most of the paintings. Have a look here. Paintings is the object, right? So we need this painting to be the subject in the passive sentence. The verb have sold is in the present perfect. How do we form the present perfect in the passive? Have or has been plus the past participle of the verb. So the correct sentence would be, most of the paintings have been sold. The last sentence. A rich businessman donated $1 million to the school. So we need the object to be the subject in the passive, and a rich businessman, it's going to be the adjunct in the passive sentence. The verb is donated, so we have verb plus ed. We know the verb plus ed is the verb in the past simple, so we need our verb to be in the past simple as well in the passive. The verb to be is was or were in the past, right? So the correct sentence would be, $1 million was donated to the art gallery by a rich businessman. Thank you for your attention.